Hey there, DayTraderRockStar here, and just an overnight video going into Friday, which will be August 2nd. Now, Friday, August 2nd, there, end of the week. I do believe we have the jobs numbers out tomorrow. That usually happens on the first Friday. On occasion, they'll move it back if it happens to be right, like the first day or a holiday session or something like that. But I'm pretty sure that we're going to have the jobs number tomorrow. I'm sitting in front of the computer right now. S&P futures are down 7.25, and this is after a very volatile day. I want to bring up the 5-minute chart here, just to kind of get a picture of what was going on. Here we had a nice ramp up all day long. It was just ramping up. We actually were looking really good. Started going sideways, which was fine into the end of the day, and expecting a little bit. All of a sudden, here we have a Trump tweet hit the market, and more tariffs on China, and possibly more, and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So the market did not like that. Now Trump later came out and said, "Well, market is misunderstanding what I am trying to accomplish." Well, I'll tell Mr. Trump this. Market never misunderstands anything. It reacts, has no emotion, and it does what it does because it's right, and then doing it. And one day it could be down, the next day it could be up. But for some reason, it acted weak. I believe it is weak for a reason. The market is never wrong. The market is what it is. But do I think this is an opportunity? Absolutely. Absolutely. This is going to be a huge opportunity. Now, maybe we have a couple more down days. Paul pointed out there was a nice gap fill today. And I could probably see another gap fill right back here. 2 days that we gapped up. So we're going to look at that level down here. Probably around that 29, 26 area. But I believe we just closed this gap down here today. I didn't even go into it. Here it is back here. It's pretty clear. At least, at least here it was. And the close on that. I don't see my my data box anymore. I wonder why. Figure out where that data box is. Being away on vacation, I just came back from vacation, so it took me a day to get in the groove, and what a day to pick. Anyway, take a look at the daily here. We're not quite oversold. 60-minute time frame was showing that slow rotation today, and finally starting to get oversold. Yeah, I think we expect a little bounce tomorrow, but this was damaging, a little damaging thing, and I think the market's reading into this a little bit more than what Trump is trying to prove. So we'll see how it all plays out, but I think we're in a little cautious area for a little more downside, if not overnight and into tomorrow. Definitely, unless there's some news out here that changes the tide here drastically, I am definitely looking for some further downside. Now Apple is down to 206.50, and that will be an opportunity. And just how long will it take before it starts to move back up? Is this going to overhang the market for a few days? I would give it a day or two. But the first sign of strength on this, and this is one of the ones I really want to be part of. Now, I did pick up some Apple calls today, and they were, they got caught at the top. They're 14 days out. So we'll see we'll see how this plays out. But that was a wicked drop we had across the board when that news came out. So it was not knowing exactly what the news was. A few minutes we knew. But it was a fast move down. And we never got that bounce on Apple. Apple here kind of just continued to just drift low. And it continues to drift low overnight. Like I said earlier, I said if I felt compelled to take some profits today, but no way that I expect a little rug pull like this. And looking back, yeah, that would have been a genius move to take profits. You never know when this stuff is going to happen. So it is what it is. Still love some stocks. And we're going to talk about some stocks. I got a list here, and this is part of the video tonight. It's looking at some stocks that we're looking forward to going into tomorrow and into the beginning of next week. So we're going to start off with some of these. Now, a lot of these are from the IBD 50, which are quality names. Now, I do believe the BZUN, again, all these stocks just got crushed. This was an interesting possible divergence that was starting here. Now, I don't have a position yet here, but I was watching it, and I was looking at this lower trend line. Was looking at how the stochastic, you can see the stochastics up here. At 34, they're holding really strong. So we're starting to see the internals here start to shift back and start to force our way back up. And that could be a nice divergence there. It's actually turning into a nice divergence, even though we had that flush. 200 period moving average underneath us, but the big picture, again, something I was looking at, you know. Something I'm looking at right now. I just heard my phone go off here. Hold on a second. Alright, so we're going to watch it. I'd want to see this stochastic here hold up here. Really put in a pure divergence. Get a signal on that. It does look pretty good. I have it on my list to start watching. So now this one was given to me by Richie Rich today. Richard out there, out in Vegas. And he mentioned that they do solar panel stuff and real cutting edge stuff, and I didn't know about it. I mean, I would have loved to have found this stock 3 days ago, and because that is a very nice looking chart. So look at this chart. This thing was just grinding up. There was no real sign of it slowing down. It did have a pullback, but quickly recovered and then pushed right back up to the highs. Then it's been chopping around, and then apparently some news, and that news came out. I think there was earnings, and they had a follow-through day, and that's where we are right now. And who knows where this thing is actually valued? That's the big thing. Where is it valued at? Could it go much higher? Definitely. You need to look into it. You need to look into that one as ENPH. ENPH. Nice gap up there. Next one on the list here. All right, BPOP, popular. Now I don't know much about this one, but another interesting one. Let's see what's going on here. All right, end of the day pop there. Just another large attempt to break out here on a major breakout. So let's put a parallel trend line up there, a parallel line. You can see that high was hit here, it's high hit again and hit again. So 3 times right now we're pushing up. So a breakout of this, or at least a pullback before a breakout, would look really, really good. This is a regional bank. Don't know much about the banks or regional banks. I don't know much about this stock, but I do know a lot about charts. This is a very strong chart. It is overextended. It is starting to pull back. So I'm not really jumping at it yet, and I probably will not get into it because I rarely get into those banks. Now, here's another one. Keysight Technologies, Scientific and Technical Instruments. Another nice looking chart. Had a little divergence back here, I pointed out. Nice pullback, gapped up, pulled back, gapped up. This is kind of interesting. And now it's just starting to move back up here. So it looks very strong. Again, another situation where we're looking at kind of a high up here. Not really multiple highs. Very close to getting to that high. We're going to look at the closing price here. There we're going to go. So we're going to use that 93.96 level as our area of interest. That gives us a much better look at that. That day right there might have been a gap up and a sell-off right from the beginning. Deadhead, I'll send this out to you later on, all right? Or at least, I have to send it tonight anyway, so it's going to be shorter. It's not going to be more than 10 more minutes. Keys. So that's keys. Nice setup. Again, 93, 96, 94 area would probably break this one out. Again, I'm not familiar with this stock too much. Don't know what it does. I'd feel more comfortable if I knew it was something like the Coop or the Plan, which Plan is actually just a nice little pullback, very close to being oversold. I think we're not going to be able to get too much more on this. Maybe tomorrow, 54. I would start getting back in on this one. It's 54. We've traded this one perfect. I mean, basically, just perfect. I'm not looking for too much more on the pullback, but it did close on the lows. We do have that negative little place playing out in the market right now. So Coop is the other one. Same thing. Nice pullback. We can even look at Workday. Service Now is actually the other one I like. All these are decent pullbacks and probably will give us opportunities before you know it. Hourly here, sometimes you can see that divergence setting up. If we actually hold it above that 20 line or hold right around where we are and we gap down tomorrow on these stocks, but they start to turn back up, that would put in a divergence. We'd have to act pretty fast on these, but they have the potential. These stocks that are also, you feel like, wow, this is a great opportunity. If it gaps down tomorrow, that might be your low of the day. So stocks like Plan, if it does gap down and gets that, down to 53 or something like that, probably is going to be worth a fast trade. So we're going to be on top of that tomorrow. Now Paul's going to open up the date tomorrow, but I'll be in the room with you trading, and I want to be jumping all over these. So we're going to have to watch that gap down. No, I'm going to put that out anyway, Deadhead. So, I mean, that's all good. It's all good. Was my music getting crappy now? Well, you said here's a couple of tunes. Let me see what it is. Let me see what these tunes are, because I can't play them directly from this. It's on the computer. Oh, nice. A little Led Zeppelin. All right, I'll play that. I played some Led Zeppelin down in Florida when I was cooking outside. And I actually played my Led Zeppelin channel. Let's stop this right now. Let's go to some Traveling Riverside Blues. Are we doing a live version? You want a live version? Or BBC version? Or just Led Zeppelin, a clean version? Let's do the BBC version. Yeah, I'm thinking the same thing. BBC sessions are always great. All right, little Zeppelin for you. Keep you interested. So Plan here. We're going to, again, any type of gap down on something you love in this market, probably tomorrow could be an interesting level. I want to watch that Boeing, too. Boeing's on my list again. We're coming down to a double bottom here on Boeing, June double bottom. A gap down tomorrow and a reversal would be key. Let's take a look at this cross parallel trend line here. See where that ends up going if we extended that. Pretty close to that level, huh? It's a little too close for comfort here. That's perfect. Look at that. I know we had this lower trend line here. We could just edit that out. And then we have a perfect channel. Anywhere down along this channel down here. You think we got under 300 in this one? Like 290? It's a big double bottom going out to January 2018. So that's a big level. That's a real big level. I'm going to stop talking. I'm going to enjoy this tune. I'll be right back. So I'm back here with you. Just took a little break here, listen to a tune. If you're out there on YouTube, you don't get to hear the music as much as you should, because on the dashboard as a member, and even on Day Trading Radio, you get to hear pretty much the full show. On YouTube, there's copyright stuff. If my music leaks over, they'll shut off the show and stuff like that, so I cannot play music. So you have to have the full experience. Sometimes you hear it through my mic, and I get dinged for it. It's like copyright infringement. I said, oh great. I said, they're really listening. They're listening to the show. All right, so I just did a divergence scan here. Now, I didn't look at the. Let's go back here for a second and take a look at Square today and how Square was rumored to get hit today. So let's take a look. 4 o'clock, it was above $80. It's at 75. So yes, it did get hit today. So those rumors have come true. Pinterest here on the other hand, has popped nicely off the earnings, and pretty much held its gains. Nothing going on there. I'm just doing some other things here. So just taking a look at a couple of those things. Markets here still negative, down 875. Let's get back to our stocks that we're going to be watching tomorrow and into next week. Now, left off with Boeing. I do like the Boeing opportunity. I'm going to watch for it, watch it closer. I have a feeling I want to wait for Boeing. I want to wait for it to get closer to this trend line, or at least a bottom down here at 320 area. We know Boeing eventually will go higher. I mean, it is what it is. PayPal ended up as a divergence thing, and again, I was just talking about Square. So Square got hit. Take a look at PayPal here after market. We have a slight little move down in PayPal. Definitely a point move down here, or at least maybe not that where we closed off. Close to it though. We'll see if that's affected or will benefit from Square. ED here, Consolidated Edison on daily here. Pretty decent candle. Sometimes we will see money flow back into higher dividend paying stocks, which would include utility stocks. So we might actually see a reversal. Let's take a look at this one. I'm not even looking, but maybe at when we came out with that Trump's tweet, money flowed out of the stocks and into some of these, and let's see if this actually moved up when the news came out. So that basically did hold on pretty good. I think the news probably came out around here, and it did move higher and closed higher. It was just a very strong day. Never really got hit by any of the news, tariff news or anything. Now we talked about the SYY here, and I know Racer got into this today, and it actually held up okay. Considering everything that happened today, it did move up. It dropped down a little bit, tried to make a nice return back up. Very similar to, I believe, was the Kraft KHC, which we did take some profits on today. It ran hard and it was looking good. It was making new highs and everything was great. And then bam, Tweetman came out and 33 turned into 32 pretty fast. But it held up pretty good. So let's go back to the last one we were looking at here, the SYY. So I believe Racer got into this today, and take a look at the daily on this. Nice pullback to the 200s, oversold. It has the potential divergence. I think that what brought my attention to it. And then he mentioned that he was in it. Oh yeah, Pinterest. We'll talk about the Pinterest in a second too. So that, you know what? Always like it. I don't see myself getting into it though. IRM, same thing. Had a nice divergence. It came back to the trend line. Nice pop on it today. Didn't give much back. I don't know if this was an earnings pop. It probably was, considering we're in earnings season. But it was also divergence set up. And take a look at the last divergences. All of these divergences. All of these 9-3 divergences. Look at these. I mean, this is pretty impressive. That called a low. That called a low. That called a low. Pretty bunch. And now we have another one. So, I mean, I do believe they do shredding. But, they must be evolving and improving their business, because shredding seems to be something, a dying industry with paperless stuff. But I always see these Iron Mountain trucks driving around the place. So I'm sure they do other security internet sweeps and stuff like that. I'm just not familiar with them. But anyway, big pop. That's a big positive for this stock. Good volume. Probably will hold this level, 30, and start moving back up. Something to be watching. Nectar Therapeutics. Now, I think this one came out with earnings after the close. I'm not 100% sure. Or maybe they're coming out tomorrow. I thought I read something. But very strong chart today. Held up, closed on the highs. And big pop on this. Again, not a stock that I'm really interested in. messing around with, but just to give a good bird's eye view of this one. Not a bad pop on it. Alright, so that's our little scan there. But let's continue on with the stocks that I have on my list. I already made some notes for you. So we already went over the BZUN, the ENPH, the BPOP, keys. Now I do believe this one came out with earnings today too. And I considered it for a second. This was the only one I would have considered. I haven't looked at it. Let's see what happened to it. I would have gone long. And let's see where I would have ended up here. So this is 5 minute. So it gapped up, pulled back, and now slowly grinding back up. But I don't know. Probably would have, well, that's not a bad move. It's actually, wow, that was it was up 30 points or something, and now it's up about 10, 15 points. So that would have been actually a pretty decent trade. And there, it just got slammy looking at it. Nice going, Johnny. And then we have the NKTR, Nectar. What the hell is going on here? Why is this thing going? Like, why is it moving? It's like possessed. I'm not doing anything with my mouth. It's just, what the hell is going on? It's catching up. Oh, that's weird. Alright, well, here's the market here, back with you. Alright, I'm back here with you. I'll put the recording back on. We're just talking about Pinterest, P-I-N-S. And it came out with earnings. It's going to open up tomorrow. If it opened up tomorrow, right now, $32, around $32 area. That's a nice little pop. But I asked, how I like it from this point on. The tough call. Here's another one, the LK. The LK is interesting too. I mean, this could have huge potential, but I'm not a big fan of it because we traded it back here. Now it's up here. Let's let it get back a little. Or was it over here we traded it? And then we got a nice pop out of it before vacation, so wherever it was. But now looking back, it did take out the highs, which typically these IPOs had pulled back, and then today it was all over the place with the Chinese tariffs. It closed near the lows, if not at, pretty close to the lows. It's just, I think it's a little bit more hard, it's definitely a harder call right now on the pins. Hasn't proven itself yet, but it's holding up pretty good, gains on this. I remember the day that, what do you call it? Apron, APRN, made that deal with someone, and it popped, and I remember shorting that. And it came right back down. I was out in a few minutes. And then I'm curious to look at it, and I still think this is a decent short over time. I mean, Apron. Meals delivery? No, it's not going to be Apron. They're going to have to deliver real heated up meals because they're going to be overtaken by these Uber Eats and stuff. Who wants to cook anymore? This thing is as short as far as I could see it. And Martha Stewart, I heard Martha Stewart has done her own thing now. That's competing with Apron. I think there's a great short opportunity here in Apron. Some markets are open in 7 minutes, maybe, and we might have some, Asian news coming out here in the next 30 minutes. We'll see what happens. We'll watch the futures right now. I normally have that calendar up for you, but I'm gonna, and again, I am still currently short Coop, or not Coop, Jesus, Sono. Someone wrote into Coop in the chat room. Sonos. And I would love to see this thing at $5. I wonder when the earnings are out on this one, Sonos. Alexa, when are earnings for Sonos Incorporated?
This might answer your question. Sonos will be expected to report earnings on September 9th, 2019. Did that answer your question?
Yes, absolutely. Thank you very much.
Thanks for your feedback.
No problem. It's my life now. Just me and Alexa and Siri. We have this recording on? Sorry. The recording was on. Erase that. Short Sonos, and then I'm looking at that apron again as a short. Alright, so I wanted to play you a tune. Let me play that tune for you. I want to pause the video, but I'll stick around with you. Education segment coming up here. Put the video back on. Just notice here between 8:50 and 9 o'clock we had a perfect divergence. Pop, a drop. Look at the steepness of this divergence. And look at the bottom here that's been put in here. And it's been climbing ever since. So it's a decent move here from 40 to 45. 5 points already, really. But really showing you with a perfect divergence. That's the divergence. The steeper that second dip here. For those out there new listening, this is an important segment right here because we're talking about what a classic divergence is. It's that low, stochastic low, that bounce, getting back above that 20 line on that stochastic D line. Get as high as you can. This is just a perfect textbook example. And then a fast move back down. But the stochastics rotate. Now, sometimes they'll rotate down here. They'll come all the way down and rotate. And you'll still have this upward slant versus the downward slant. That's that divergence. Technically speaking, scientifically speaking, it's converging of these two lines. But we call it divergence. So you have that little spike down, but because that turns back up so quickly, that is really the signal right there. And right when you could notice that happening, you want to jump in, you put your stop underneath that recent low, and you let it ride. All right, and the odds are you're going to get something on this. So that's what we look for. That's what we hunt for. I didn't even see this until right now, or else I would have actually taken it. I have everything set up here. We're back up to 29.46 here today. All right. Wow. So, good example of that. We'll probably, go over that again. But that's what we look for. That's what. Let's see. Did the I'm wondering if the Rockbot called that. It didn't. I don't know if it did call it because it might have been in a. I think it was already in a trade. I don't know why it didn't call that. It's in a trade right now. It was a small little short trade. And market here popping a little. Let's take a look at Alibaba. Let's take a look at Alibaba coming in at the chat room. Again, Day Trading Radio will be live on the air tomorrow. Early morning. We'll have the futures up all night. So the question in the chat here is Alibaba BABA a daily divergence. Now, I'm curious to see it did get hit. I was just going to say, I'm curious to see how much it got hit. And take a look at that big hot dog candle. That's a big one. I'm not going to say that's what she said, because I'd be totally immature, but I did get it in there. This could easily be a divergence here. We'll have to see what happens. Alright. Kind of smack down. We have an underlying trend line. I think that would be of interest. It's actually, that trend line actually starts. Alright. We'll call that the thing here now. Yeah, it could be. You cannot call divergence until you see that rotation back up, where I actually have a formula on some of my divergences that require the slope of the divergence signal here to be higher than the previous two candles. So you're gonna pretty much feel that, you might not see it visually, but you want to see that start to turn back up. and this to still maintain that divergence low. And we're going to be looking at that low right here, and this lower low. Well, actually, it's going to be this low. Sorry, looking at the wrong thing before. And we're a little bit lower here, so we're seeing that this low and this higher low right here. But we want to confirm that higher low. We want to see that move back up whenever it happens, if it does happen, before that trend line, and then you get to confirm it a little bit more. I'll watch that lower trend line too. That's what we have on that. All right, so let's finish up with our last two stocks here. VEEV. I like this VEEV. Now, VEEV is another one of these IBD stocks. Now, I do believe that VEEV does robotics, and I'm going to actually look it up with you right now and tell you exactly what they do. You got to know every stock. Eventually, you will. I mean, I'm not even up to date on some of the newer stocks, and I know this one's a high-ranking stock on the IBD 50. It's also a nice price level here, 165. So let me go to the profile here and read this to you. Wow. Yeah. All right, description here. Here we are. VEEV Systems provides cloud-based software for the life science industries of North America, Europe, Asia Pacific, and internationally. The company offers the VEEV Commercial Cloud, a suite of multi-channel customer relationship management applications, data solutions, and master data management solutions, and VEEV Vault, a cloud-based enterprise content data management application for managing commercial functions, including medical, sales, and marketing, as well as research, development, functional, regulatory, quality, safety. I see nothing here about robotics. I don't know where I got that impression that they're a robotic company. Anyway, they're a cloud-based company. You can mark that one off with the Teams, the Coops of the world. Here's Team and Coops. I'm gonna have to actually do a call on this one. I'm going to give someone a call on this one. I know someone who probably knows a lot more about this company. It's formed in 2007, founded, and its headquarters in Pleasanton, California. Frank Jr. here looking at NEO here. Oh yeah, didn't see this one sneaking up. Thank you very much. This is exactly what we're looking at. So this example right here, Frank just brought to the table here, is very similar. Like, all right, here it is. This is what we're looking for: that consolidation, multiple tags of the highs, and then what we look for here is a kind of a. See if I could. Boom, a breakout and a very good strength. And this looks like it has written, breakout and follow through all over it for tomorrow. I just didn't see this one sneak. Why didn't I have it? I don't know why I didn't see it. But we did go over some that have similar patterns before the breakout. Again, let's just take a look at those one more time, because I want to make sure now that I saw that. Which ones were I got to just use the UN. No, not that one. That wasn't it. Hold on. No, that one. Was it BPOP? BPOP was kind of one, because eventually if you do get that pop, it's going to look like anything else. I think that was kind of, but it's different. It's a bank. It's not like it doesn't have that feel to it. A bank. But here's key site. Technical instruments, scientific. That could be another one that looks very interesting. And that's when it kind of sold off. So this sets up, and again, here's another good educational little tidbit here. I started out trading in the 90s, and I followed Jeff Cooper, Kevin Haggerty, and their hit and run trading. It was some of the first charts I've learned. And a couple only, there was so much information they gave out in their books, and they're very interesting books, but they're not relevant for today's market. So I don't promote them as much, but I think they're good historical reads and stuff, and they do show good things. And if you can find them, it's called Hit and Run Trading 1 is the best one. Hit and Run Trading 2 is the second volume. And there's some other ones, 5-day breakout systems. Anything by those two guys. They did a tag team on that. And when I bought the stocks, bought these books, they were about $100 each, and I bought them at trade shows back in the 90s, and they were really, and there were some really good things, patterns, and one was, I believe, called a Jack in the Box, or a pivot point reversal. Actually, the pivot point reversal is where you have a pivot area that takes out the previous highs. It's not taking out the overall highs, but it was enough of the pivot that takes out the last three highs, and then closes on the lows, but then goes a little bit lower than the recent consolidation low. Then the pivot point breakout would be, because this would be the pivot area right here, that recent pop and drop, that top of that is that pivot area. It is extremely strong buy when you break back above that after reversing and taking out the lows. Alright, so if we break down lower here, then move up and take out the highs, that's a pivot point breakout. A very strong, and you want to be part of that. So we should put this on. I will put this on the list, KEYS, as a pivot point breakout. I'll put it on the HPS tomorrow. Yeah, so you'll be alerted to it if it does break out.
Trade volume over
You can probably right now just put that alert in there. Right at, what is it, whatever, $93 about. It's probably right at 93. So 93, I want to like 93 there. All right, 93. Yeah, this is a nice one. This is so I have to see what they do too. Also, let's just take a look while we're in research mode here.
Trade ES overbought.
All right, so that is KEYS. What kind of friggin' instruments do they do? Keysight Technology provides electronic design and test solutions for commercial communication, networking, aerospace, defense, and government, automotive, energy, semiconductors, electronics, industries, Americas, and Asian Pacific areas, radio frequency, microwave test instruments, electric design, automation, software tools, logic and serial protocol analyzers, logic signal process. Wow, there's a lot of crap on here. That's way over my head. Low-cost USB modular units, precision source measurement units, reseller of manufacturing representatives. Company has collaboration agreements with Telia, Finland, and Qualcomm Technologies. Company was incorporated in 2013, headquarters in Santa Rosa, California. Wow. All right. Interesting. So I like it, dealing with aerospace and defense. It has some longevity of some good returns here. IPO'd back here in 2015, about $36. It's trying to get a little bit higher. Again, I would use that 90. Yeah, I would definitely concentrate this on a pullback. I don't know where we could pull back to on this, but even if we don't pull, wherever we pull back to it, that's it. It's going to be more interesting. Even a slight pullback here is telling us, hey, this thing feels like it's fighting to go higher. I don't know if we're going to get much of a pullback on this one, but it's something I like. This one at least has that get up and go type of look to it. Now, another one here, and probably, all right, so the Dropbox, DBX. I almost took this one today. I think I got sidetracked. DBX. Looking at it today, good thing. We had a divergence back here, big move. Divergence back here, big move. We're looking at a possible divergence here, and didn't even follow up on it, seeing that closed into lows because of the overall market selling off. But I'll keep an eye on this one. I have it on my radar. I do subscribe to Dropbox, and this is a recent IPO, 2018. It popped. It was up here, wherever that is, 45. Now it's at 23. oversold. But each divergence seems to have this thing climbing a little bit higher. Again, on the list, watching it closer. And then I talked about Boeing earlier. I might consider taking something on Boeing here. I'd rather get it a little lower along this trend line, and X marks the spot level down here. X marks the spot is a trade technique we use when two trend lines or a lower channel line and a support line meet up, like right down here would be. So if the price got down, it would actually be down a little bit lower. Closer we get down to that underneath 300 level would be something, but I'm watching it. That's ready to strike on that. So we got a question in the room, ICPT, and yeah, Intercept Pharmaceuticals. Used to follow it a lot. Used to trade it a lot. Back here you can see some trend lines and stuff, but I haven't looked at it in years. This is the first time looking at it probably in 2 years. It used to be a darling, that thing really was up here at $140. Now it's at $62. It was probably even higher. Yeah, this thing was massive back here, $600. I don't know. It's suffering from severe stock rot over the years. It's just going down and down and down. It's right on support here. Now let's look back at this and kind of talk about what triggers this stock. Is there anything that looks like we could go back on a stock like this and look at times it did reverse? What were the key indicators? Now there was a divergence here. You have to be very hard to see it on the last November big candle, but that would have not got my interest. A couple things you want to pay attention to. Right now it looks like the oversold level, a nice pullback there. But here we kind of pulled back and chopped, and that was a very destructive move down. Then we got a pull back here. It dropped hard and pushed back up. Very dangerous here because we were actually lifting and dropping at the same time. This looks very weak, and it's hard to call a bottom on this. I think your odds are like flipping a coin on this one. I don't know anything more about it other than I'm not seeing anything other than weakness in the chart. I'm just seeing weakness in the chart. You could get lucky, though. You know how that plays, Viljar. That's when you want to buy, is when the stock looks the worst usually. But that takes a lot of guts on this one. Market here is starting to move, so we might have some news out here, some Asian news. I want to go to my feed here, see what we have. Yes, we do. We have some comments coming out of Japan. Japan Chief Cabinet Secretary Suga says South Korea's removal from whitelist will not impact supply chain. There's some comments coming out of Japan. Japan, strong payroll. Let's see here. Japan, U.S. agreed to speed up trade talks aimed at bilateral deal. I'm reading into some of these news items. Is there a sell divergence on it too? Oh, here. A little sell divergence right here. All right, let me wrap up the videos. We got enough to talk about tomorrow. We'll be here all day tomorrow. But let me just send the video out to the members so it doesn't get too late, that they can review some things. Not much on there, but something just to welcome you back, welcome me back, and say thanks to everyone. While I was on vacation, I know we had a lot of issues going on. Paul's dad passed away, so I was just again sending condolences out to that family, his family, and people helped out keeping the station up and running during those times that he was off the air. Thank you, Rob, Keldar, and whoever else reached out. Thank you very much. Vacation was really nice. It was really nice. I did not think too much because I had no internet where we were staying. It was just awful internet, so I wasn't able to really check in as much as I wanted. Not even really even the email. It was just a pain in the butt. Email. And Alright. I think I'm going to be on the air tomorrow. Paul just texted me. He says that I think I'm going to be on the air. Decent show tomorrow. Not much running around and screaming at me that she needs to hold on. Okay, I get it, Paul. So Paul was going to actually try to do the show, and it looks like I'm on. So I'll be on the air tomorrow. So that's don't worry about anything. We got it covered. I'll see you then.